Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Some families run on love, some run on tradition, and some run on whatever unholy fuel gets released the moment a will is opened. Today in the rLounge, it's family values. Up first, families love to say, "We don't care about material things," right up until someone dies and they all think they're owed a piece of the pie. Parents tried to guilt me into giving up my inheritance to golden child sister, so I put the house on Airbnb. My grandfather passed away last week at 87. He was my rock growing up. While my parents were obsessed with my older sister's achievements, Grandpa was the one who showed up to my school events. I'm still processing his loss when the family gathered for the will reading. I never expected what happened next. The attorney read through the standard stuff, some money to charity, his car to my uncle, then dropped the bombshell. To my granddaughter, I leave my lakefront property and all contents therein. The room went silent. My sister's jaw literally dropped, and my parents exchanged confused glances. That lakefront property is worth about $1.2 million. It's a beautiful 3-bedroom home on a private lake with a boat dock, gazebo, and gorgeous views. Grandpa bought it for practically nothing in the 70s, and the area has boomed since. As the attorney continued, my sister started crying. Not sad tears, angry tears. My parents immediately moved to comfort her while shooting daggers at me like I'd somehow engineered this. The ride home was tense. Nobody spoke until my sister finally broke the silence. "This isn't fair. I needed that house more than you do." 2 days later, I got ambushed at Sunday dinner. I should have known something was up when both my parents texted about family time that morning. I arrived to find my sister already there with puffy eyes. Mom served dinner that cleared her throat. "We need to discuss the situation with Grandpa's house." Dad jumped in. "Your sister is in a difficult financial position. She has credit card debt." $78,000 in credit card debt, my sister clarified, like this somehow strengthened her claim. She continued, "I visited Grandpa more. I brought him groceries on holidays. I called him every birthday." I nearly choked on my potatoes. "I visited him weekly for years. You showed up for holidays and birthdays, took Instagram photos, then left after an hour." "That's not true," she shouted. "We had a special bond." Mom placed her hand on mine. "Honey, your sister needs this more than you. She could sell the property and clear her debts. You're doing fine." "So I should give up my inheritance because she maxed out credit cards?" "Your grandfather wouldn't want you to see your sister struggling while you get a vacation home." My sister screamed, "You're being selfish. You've always been the selfish one." I grabbed my purse and walked out. The next few days were a bombardment. The property deed was processed, making it officially mine. My sister sent 17 text messages in a single hour. "Please reconsider. I'm begging you. I'll pay you back someday. You're destroying our family. I need this." My parents called 5 times, each voicemail angrier than the last. Dad's final message, "Your grandfather would be ashamed of you right now." That one hurt, but I knew it wasn't true. I decided to visit the property, my property, to clear my head. When I arrived, I discovered something infuriating. My sister had already moved some of her stuff in. There were boxes in the living room labeled kitchen and bedroom. She'd even hung a few pictures on the walls. I immediately called a locksmith and had all the locks changed. While waiting, I boxed up her things and put them on the porch. The next morning, my phone exploded with notifications. A neighbor sent me security camera footage of my sister screaming at the front door, trying her key repeatedly, then kicking the door when it wouldn't open. She called me every name in the book before finally leaving. I texted her, "Your belongings are on the porch. If you return without permission, I'll call the police." A week later, my parents organized what they called a family meeting at their house. When I got there, I found not just my parents and sister, but also 3 aunts and an uncle. Another ambush. They started talking about how concerned they were about the division the inheritance was causing. My uncle said my grandfather always wanted that lake house to be a family enjoyment. That's when it clicked. I asked if he had promised them all access if my sister got it. Their uncomfortable looks said everything. They'd already been planning vacations with my inheritance. As I walked out, my uncle murmured that I never really appreciated my grandfather anyway. 2 days later, my mother sent a 10-paragraph email detailing all the ways my sister had sacrificed for our family. Apparently choosing to live at home during college while I moved to campus was a sacrifice. Visiting Grandpa on Christmas while posting selfies with him was a sacrifice. The email ended with, "Your sister deserves this blessing after all she's done." The property tax bill arrived, making me realize just how expensive maintaining the place would be. I started researching options and discovered vacation rentals in the area commanded premium prices. I listed the property on Airbnb, and within hours had my first booking at $450 a night. My sister discovered the listing almost immediately. She left a 3-minute voice message that was mostly unintelligible screaming with occasional phrases like, "How could you?" and "Grandpa's memory." My parents called next. "You're disgracing your grandfather's memory by commercializing his beloved home." My first guests checked in and left a glowing 5-star review. Dad emailed demanding family access weekends where they could use the lake house as Grandpa intended. I responded with the Airbnb link and a discount code for estranged relatives, 5% off. I know that was petty, but I'd had enough. My sister's entitlement has been a lifelong pattern. She was always the golden child who could do no wrong. When we were kids, she broke my science project the night before it was due. My parents told me I shouldn't have left it where she could reach it. When she borrowed my prom dress without asking and spilled wine on it, they bought her a new dress because she was so upset about the accident. Grandpa was the only one who saw through it. He'd wink at me and say, "The loudest one in the room isn't always the most deserving." My sister would have sold it immediately to clear her debts, then probably racked up new ones. At current rates, the lake house will generate enough income to cover all expenses plus a healthy profit. I'm planning to reinvest some of that into property improvements. So that's what I'm doing. Am I the a-hole for not giving up my inheritance to my golden child sister instead of turning it into a successful business? Edit. Wow, this blew up overnight. Thanks for all the supportive comments. To answer some questions. 1. Yes, the will was properly executed and witnessed. Grandpa was of sound mind. 2. No, I won't compromise by selling and splitting the money. That's giving away half my inheritance to someone who has proven financially irresponsible. 3. For those asking if I'd consider letting family use it occasionally for free, these people have called me selfish, manipulative, and threatened to cut contact. Why would I reward that behavior? 4. Several people mentioned getting a security system. Already done. Cameras are installed and the property manager does regular check-ins. 5. My sister's debt is from luxury purchases, vacations, and retail therapy, not medical bills or education. Update. Hey Reddit. It's been about a month since my original post. A lot has happened, so I figured I'd give you all an update on the lake house situation. First off, thanks for all the supportive comments on my original post. Reading through them helped me feel less crazy when my family was bombarding me with guilt trips. So the Airbnb business is absolutely thriving. The property management company sent me the first profit statement, and I made $13,450 in just the first month. The place has a 90% occupancy rate, which is apparently exceptional for a new listing. Turns out people will pay premium prices for lakefront property, especially one that's well maintained. I reinvested some of the profits back into the property. I had a new dock built, the old one was starting to show its age, and bought some water equipment for guests to use. Kayaks, paddle boards, that kind of thing. The reviews have been stellar, and several guests have already booked return trips. Now for the family drama. My sister tried to book the lake house for the 4th of July weekend using a fake account. She used her boyfriend's last name and a different email, but she stupidly entered her actual phone number. I recognized it immediately, canceled the booking, and kept the deposit per the cancellation policy. She sent me a barrage of texts calling me a thief. Our extended family has held a summer reunion at the lake house for decades. As it approached, I started getting guilt trip messages about tradition and how I was destroying family heritage by not hosting it. These came from the same people who ambushed me at the family meeting. So I blocked reservations for that weekend and invited only the relatives who had supported me or at least stayed neutral. The mini reunion was actually really nice. My cousins were appreciative and respectful of the property. One cousin let slip that my parents had already promised my sister could host her wedding at the lake house before Grandpa even died. They were making plans for my inheritance before it was even mine. The entitlement is staggering. One of the grandfather's old fishing buddies called me out of the blue. He'd heard about the conflict and wanted me to know something important. According to him, Grandpa knew all about my sister's debt problems and had deliberately chosen not to enable her further. He'd told his friend that giving her the lake house would be like giving an alcoholic a distillery. This friend also provided additional documentation showing my sister had asked Grandpa for money repeatedly in his final years. He'd kept records of every request and his responses. The last one was just 3 months before he passed, where she asked for $30,000 for a business opportunity. He declined. On a personal note, I used some of the Airbnb profits to pay off my remaining student loans. I celebrated by taking a photo of myself having a glass of champagne on the dock and posted it with the caption, Hashtag debt-free and loving it. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. Your grandfather clearly saw who consistently showed up for him, and he made a deliberate, thoughtful choice. You didn't manipulate anything. You didn't pressure anyone. He left the house to you because he trusted you, valued you, and wanted you to have it. That alone says everything. Your family may not like that you're standing up for yourself, but that doesn't make you wrong. You're allowed to keep what was left to you. You're allowed to protect your boundaries. And you're allowed to live your life without being held hostage by someone else's mistakes. You're not the villain here. You're just the first person in your family to say no and mean it. What's the wildest thing a relative has tried to claim as rightfully theirs? Up next, just when you think family drama has evolved past medieval logic, this happens. My dad died and left £3 million to my younger brothers, 21 and 23. I got 0. My dad passed a few months ago, and I learned yesterday that he left roughly the whole £3 million estate to my 2 younger brothers. I got nothing. The reason? I'm a woman, and my future husband will provide for me. I'm 27 female, single, and nowhere near getting married. I worked hard to be independent and still got treated like I don't need support because someday a man might do it. My brothers aren't struggling, but they took it without a word. I felt gutted and angry that even in 2025, my worth to my own family was tied to some sexist idea that my imaginary future husband will care for me. Let's get some comments and some reactions. First up, under UK law, you might actually have a case. The Inheritance Provision for Family Independence Act 1975 lets disinherited children challenge wills that don't make reasonable provision. If your dad really said your future husband will provide, that could help your claim. Seriously, cross-post this to Legal Advice UK. They'll point you in the right direction, hopefully. I'm sorry for your loss, OP. I really hope you get your fair share of the inheritance here. The OP replied, That is amazing. I had no idea the law might prevent something like this. I'm going to do some research about this and get some legal advice. Thank you so much. You've really given me hope when I was genuinely at the lowest I've ever been. The next person says, I'm in the same situation with you. The thing that triggered me the most was those people take it without a second thought. Play's a nice person, but only when their benefits are not interfered. In my country, you'd be eligible to file a case for this. The OP replies, Still early days, so I hope my brothers stand up for me. However, the comments above have offered me some hope that I have a path forward even if they don't. Next comment says, Contact a lawyer and enforce your part. And your dad was an a-hole. He has 3 kids, not 2. We are not in the Middle Ages, where he marries you off to the neighboring landlord's son and you're going to be okay. The OP replies, It's crazy to me how someone can still have the idea that women are somehow less than men in 2025. Update post, November 10th, 2025, just over 1 month later. I just wanted to share some good news after my last post. After many difficult discussions and advice from numerous kind people here, my brothers and I came to an agreement. We're splitting our dad's estate 3 ways equally. Once I calmed down and showed them how unfair it felt, they listened. We got some legal advice and found out there was actually a simple way to adjust things properly so everyone was treated equally. They both apologized and said they hadn't realized how hurtful it was at the time. Now everything's being sorted, and I'll get my fair share too. I honestly can't thank everyone enough. If I hadn't written that post and read all of your advice and support, I think I would have just accepted it and walked away with nothing. You gave me the push to speak up for myself, and it's made all the difference. Now let's go back and get some more comments. First response says, Please have everything documented in front of your legal representatives. Verbal promises and agreements are good to have, but not bulletproof. The OP replies, Thanks for your advice. My lawyer has taken care of all of this. Paperwork has been signed, and funds are expected to be distributed in the next couple of months. Next comment says, I remember your story. It was unfair of your father to treat you differently just because you're a woman. I'm glad your brothers were understanding and even apologized for something that wasn't their fault. They seem like good people. Some parents will do anything to ruin sibling relationships. Makes me happy to read it didn't work in your case. Having brothers on your side is priceless. The OP replies, I thought this situation was going to break my family, but it showed me how strong it actually was. One final commenter replies, It was disgusting your father excluded you from his estate because you're a woman. I'm glad your brothers realized how unfair this is and decided to split the estate with you. That's the only fair thing to do. And the OP replies finally, The sexism in this family ends with him, and I'm thrilled about it. Honestly, leaving everything to your brothers because your future husband will provide is wild. What was the plan if you never married? At least your brothers eventually realized, maybe inheriting millions solely because our sister has a uterus is actually a bit messed up. Growth. We'd love to see it. Took them long enough, but hey, some people take a minute to notice the house fire they're standing in. But genuinely, good for you. You stood up for yourself, got legal advice, and now you're getting your fair share. No imaginary husband required. What do you make of this? Thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.